Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Good evening to each and every single one of you. I hope you all had brilliant, productive, happy days. We're going to talk about Manchester United and the Bruno Fernandes situation. Reports are telling us that his agent, Luis Pinto, who is also his father-in-law, has landed back in the UK to try and get the negotiations finalised, the cost and price of Bruno Fernandes to Man United finalised. We're going to jump through that in a few moments, but we're also going to touch on Arsenal because huge reports, Damasio, amongst other publications and journalists, are telling us that Arsenal Football Club have officially come to an agreement, a 5-year deal for William Saliba to join. But the weirdest bit about all this is going back on loan for a year to Saint Etienne, many people are saying. So we're going to wait for the official Arsenal announcement on that. But congratulations, they've seen off Spurs. They've stopped Spurs from picking up their man. So we'll touch on that story as we go through this video. Like always, hit that share button, get this out on social media. YouTube doesn't support independent channels such as our own, so I really need, and the channel really needs your support, you sharing and spreading the word. And the other great thing to do as well is hit that like button to show your support for the channel. But William Saliba to Arsenal is pretty much done. It's dusted. United are trying to get to that situation with Bruno Fernandes. This deal has been going on for a long time now. Reportedly, a £54 million bid is going to be placed. Manchester United think it is going to be enough. It will get the deal over the line. It's a little bit below the £60 million minimum they wanted, but Bruno Fernandes wants this move. He's been very gracious in the way that he is waited. Well, I also read in one report today that although the club rejected a lower offer and they should be paying the player a big bonus due to the wage increase and new image rights that he will receive, Bruno Fernandes will not be chasing that bonus from Sporting Lisbon. So there's a little bit of goodwill. So I think that's why Man United believe they'll get away with a £54 million bid, because Sporting aren't having to pay out another £4 to £5 million to their own player. But it'll be a great signing for Man United, there's no doubt. And, you know, we released a video a few days ago looking at some of the league goals, not even the European or domestic cup goals, but just the league goals scored by Bruno Fernandes. And yes, a few of them were penalties, but they do count. But free kicks, headers, absolute screamers from distance, first-time volleys, and then some really good sort of poacher finishes as well. An absolutely brilliant player. So you've just got to hope that with Luis Pinto, the agent of Bruno Fernandes, being in the UK, sitting down with Manchester United, being that caveat and that mediator between the two clubs, this deal can get over the line. Bruno Fernandes, I believe, is on his way flying to Belgium with Sporting Lisbon. He hasn't stopped training. He hasn't stopped his preparation for the new season. But for all parties, getting Bruno Fernandes away from Sporting Lisbon, getting him over to Singapore in front of Ollie, in front of his new teammates, to have a few weeks to be able to get to know his new teammates, you know, get through, you know, stand up in the restaurant or in the food area and have to do your initiation song, get to grips with the style of play and the fitness, and it will serve Manchester United massively well. It will also relieve that pressure on Paul Pogba, and that's the bit I'm most excited about. The pressure will be relieved on Paul Pogba. He won't be the only creative player within our midfield ranks. He's not the only player outside of our attackers that we're relying on for goals and creativity. Bruno Fernandes comes straight in, the best goal-scoring midfielder in the world. There is absolutely no doubt about it. All he's now got to do is step up and do it for a bigger team under more pressure in a tougher league. Will he score 32 goals in all competitions? Highly unlikely in his first season. But do I think this player could come in and get 15 to 20 goals? Absolutely. But you've only got to go and watch footage of Bruno Fernandes and the touch, the skill, the accuracy, and he can hit a ball. Some football players can just hit a ball in that sweet spot on such a regular occurrence, and it doesn't matter what league you're in, you're always going to be able to do that. So I'm going to jump into your live comments and see what you're all thinking and feeling. I will take comments on William Saliba to Arsenal as well. Gooners, are you happy with the deal? Are you kind of frustrated that he's going straight back out on loan? I would love your viewpoints and opinions on that. Terry, you read the comments as you talk. Please teach me. I don't know. I don't know if that's something I can teach you. I try to read them as I talk. As everybody knows, I'm quite open about it. I'm quite heavily dyslexic, so sometimes I misread it. That's why you see me squinting and going back and rereading it again. But yeah, no one's ever said that to me before, but cool. All right, let's see what some of these comments are saying. Terry, who will we sign first, Bruno Fernandes or Maguire? Well, if the agent is here and this deal is being negotiated, then it sounds like it may be Bruno Fernandes. The Leicester situation, of course, we spoke about that earlier on today. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Go onto our homepage and you'll see that. I've done a couple of videos on that today. Harry Maguire talking about his footballing heroes, talking about Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand, of course, not just Man United legends, but the greatest Premier League partnership of all time. So that deal's moving along slowly but nicely. And hopefully this Bruno Fernandes rumour, from a Man United fan's point of view that wants Fernandes, I hope it's true. I hope it's real. I hope it is really moving in the right direction. AZ here says 54 million is fair. Yeah, I think it is. I actually think it's a bit of a snip. I think it's a bit of a snip in this market. I really do. When you consider how much money Coutinho was sold for, who, by the way, is a top-class player, but wasn't scoring anywhere near or creating anywhere near the same volumes of goals that Bruno Fernandes is. Hassan here says Bruno Fernandes is quality, and I hope this is done soon. Yeah, I agree with you completely. He is quality, which is why I said prior to that, 50, 55 million, even 60 million pounds in this market is a bit of a snip. 32 goals last year. In fact, what I actually want to look at, and this doesn't even take into consideration his domination in games, his plays, trickery, any defensive work that he does. Forget all other aspects of football. Let's just look at it from purely his goals and assists. He's been phenomenal for it's not even last season. It's the last 2 years. If I just have a look at this to get the exact numbers up. I say I'm not an encyclopedia of knowledge on this stuff, but just in terms of his goals, so he's played 66 since moving from Sampdoria. He's played 66 league games and has 31 goals, which is pretty damn good. He's been at the club 2 years. In his first season, he scored 11 goals in 33 games. Now, 11 goals is still very, very good for a midfield player. Scored 16 goals in all competitions. So, as a midfielder, okay, in the last 2 years, he has 47 goals in 106 games. That is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And if we look at the other sort of statistical breakdowns, let me just go into here and go into who scored. So I go who scored? No, I do transfer. There we go. Oops, my bad. I clicked on the wrong thing. I've gone on to something I didn't want to click on. That's what I wanted. I'm going to look at the stats in terms of his creativity as well. So if we look at this, since he's been, let's actually just put in, we'll go back 2 seasons ago, because that's what I'm really interested in, his first year at Sporting Lisbon. So in his first year, which doesn't really get spoken about, I mean, look at that. I mean, for his first year at Sporting Lisbon, right, he played 56 games, scored 16 goals, and assisted 20. He got 20 assists in his first year. So that's 36 goal contributions in his first season, okay? And in his second season, and by the way, there was Champions League, Champions League qualifier goals and assists and Europa League in there as well. And last season, it was 32 goals and 18 assists. So that's 50 goal contributions last year and 36 a season before. Meaning he has contributed 86 goals, 86 goal contributions in 109 games. In 109 games, this midfielder has contributed 86 goals. Find me a midfielder. In fact, how many forwards, forget either midfielder, by the way, attacking midfielder, how many forwards, whether they're central or play left or right, have created and scored that many goals. And and I go back to my point. He's done it at a slightly lower level, yes, granted, but he has still scored goals in the Europa League, Champions League games as well. So it isn't like he's just done it there domestically, as an example. Cup competitions. 86 goal contributions in 109 games. There are world-class players out there like Coutinho, like Mbappe, and these are forwards, right? Even Paul is the best creative midfielder in the world, isn't at that level. Hazard not at that level. You'll probably find that Messi and Ronaldo are like the only two that are close to that. Now, I'm not putting him on the same level as any of those players, by the way. I'm just talking about his goal contributions are that big and that good. Go back to my original point. That's why I think £54 million is an absolute snip. If he loses 20% of that because he's going to a tougher league, still a lot. Only knocking like 16 goal contributions off. It still means over a 2-year period, I think he's going to contribute between 60 and 70 goals for Man United, which is amazing. Someone here says he's flying to Liverpool. Yeah, look, if Liverpool pulled this signing off, it'd be painful for Man United fans considering how close they are. But the one thing you wouldn't see from me is a switch around on the player. I would praise him to the exact same levels, and I would say the exact same things, because everyone knows I'm not that biased really. Sometimes a little bit. By the way, if you haven't done so already, a great way to support this channel is by hitting that like button. Also, as we mentioned at the top of this video, that YouTube no longer supports independent channels. It's down to you guys, our viewers, to help get more people involved by hitting that share button and trying to push us out there to as many platforms as possible. So if you've got Twitter, Facebook, Insta, please share this stream. Thank you. Got a super chat here. This is from Raul, who says, how much truth is in Aubameyang? As the Aubameyang, do you know what? I actually saw the United stand that they went with the Aubameyang header. I was talking about Aubameyang to Man United, what, two or 3 weeks ago now? Let's go and take a little look. I'll search Aubameyang's name. Let's search it and see what's being said here. There must be a story in it. Man United makes £62 million bid for Arsenal ace. Well, it's reared its head again, which is interesting. And there are a lot of people out there that have looked at the situation at Arsenal and said that a big player needs to be sold to generate the funds to buy either Wilfred Zaha, or now they're looking at, of course, Everton Suarez. But a big player needs to be sold. Some wages need to be freed up to be able to do that. And Arsenal are, of course, linked with a number of players. Everton Suarez is one. Danny, I can't remember how to pronounce his surname again. I learned it this morning specifically for the video. Is it Ceballos? Something like that. Danny Ceballos or Ceballos. He looks like he might be coming in. Of course, they just signed William Saliba. So maybe they do need to sell. It's a real interesting one for me. Kieran Tierney as well. And this is what I think Arsenal fans have got to look at. If this is true, there is no throwing your toys out the pram. Maybe at your owners, but not at the manager and what you're trying to achieve. If you get rid of Aubameyang and you bring in, let's just say you bring in Wilfred Zaha, you bring in Tierney, you sign another centre-back and you get yourself a midfielder in Danny, as we mentioned, your overall squad has probably improved. Although you've lost a really important player, you've still got one of the best strikers in the world in Lacazette. So would I be surprised? No. Would I be shocked? No. Is it plausible, logical? Yes. Is it likely to happen? It just doesn't feel right to me, though. I just feel that if they're going to do it, would they try and get him to go abroad? From a Man United fan's point of view, I'd be a little concerned because I'm really looking forward to seeing Rashford play more centrally and Martial play more centrally. But maybe Ollie's thinking is we just need a little bit of experience. We need a natural-born finisher for the next 18 months as these lads develop and learn and train. And we'll have all of them playing in and around the Aubameyang, learning, watching and playing alongside him. And in a couple of years' time, we look at moving him on and giving these guys central reign. And that could be it. There's also the option that he might be looking to play with two strikers. And who knows? And if you look at the Aubameyang's record in the Premier League since he joined, huge amount of goals. questionable marks around his ability to have those clutch moments in the major games. But equally, Arsenal don't really perform in major games. So there is that sort of train of thought that goes into it. But it would be a good signing for Manchester United, no doubt. Everybody knows my personal thoughts and feelings on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. But yeah, it's logical, yes. But in terms of its likelihood to happen, I'm not convinced. Insanity Dog said Rashford should get 20 plus goals in all comps. If he plays the majority of the season, he is going to score over 20 goals this year. I fervently believe that. We've seen in pre-season how sharp he's looking. If he's improved those fitness levels by 15-20%, we are going to see a player. And I think if Pogba stays, if Bruno Fernandes gets added to that mix, if we're stronger at the back, all of those things will contribute. All those things will contribute. David Davis says his agent's back again, probably forgot his glasses. Yeah, I said earlier on today when I heard this rumour that I hope this geezer's getting air miles. The amount of times he's flown to the UK in the past month, according to the media, I will always add. Relax, Terry, pre-season can be very deceiving. Yes, it can be, and that's why I always temper my viewpoints. But with Rashford, we've seen him do it at the highest level in patches. Experience, additional fitness, muscle growth, all these things have happened to him over the summer. You look, he's come back, he just looks a little bit thicker, he looks fitter, and he's up for it, and he's talking so eloquently. He's new deals now behind him, so he's got that security. I think we're going to see a bigger... And by the way, how many more got to hit 20 plus goals? Let's just take an actual look at this, right? You've got to remember, he was in and out of the team at the beginning of the season playing for a really boring manager. Scored lots of goals when Ollie first came in. But how many goals did he score last season in total? So it was 10 league goals. So he got 13 goals in all competitions. I mean, it's not inconceivable. It's not inconceivable that he will not get at least 7 more this year. Does that make sense? Like, I think it's more than plausible that he will be able to get a deal like that. I think it's more than plausible that get a deal like that. I think it's more than plausible that he could improve by at least 7 goals to get 20 plus in the season. If he's starting in an attacking Man United team from the beginning of the season. If Ollie was here the whole of last season, I believe he would have got over 20 goals. So, yeah, I'm confident in that. But it also depends on other players as well. Because when you think about individuals that do score lots of goals, if you watch Harry Kane and Aguero and Mo Salah as an example, a third of their goals are like self-made. Brilliant. Like the goal that Rashford scored the other day. Like, loads to do and does most of it themselves. But they also score a lot of headers and tap-ins and shots from... tapping crosses and sort of one-on-ones that their teammates help set up for them. So Man United's creativity needs to be better. So if all these things happen, and Bruno Fernandes, the reason why we're here tonight, what we're talking about, is someone that can add to that. Let's do a few more of your live comments anyway. There's another super chat actually that we've had. I'm going to go to that. That's from Jarvis. Thank you, Jarvis, who says, if we sign Slabhead and Fernandes, what's the next steps to get balance and complete the team, both in depth and quality? Keep up the great work. If we sign Fernandes and Slabhead next, I would say the next problematic area that needs resolving, one of two. If Pogba's staying, then for me becomes the right-hand side of attack. And I would be quite comfortable this season with those two additions, with AWB already here, and of course Dan James. I would be happy with the likes of Chong and Greenwood deputising in that position and developing themselves, and then we come and assess next season whether we really need somebody in there. But I would then look at that. And I spoke about this earlier. If you sign those couple of players, United then move into the realm of only ever needing 1 or 2 players every summer. It makes it a lot easier for they can focus on getting rid of some of the deadwood and promoting some of the youngsters. And it makes it a lot easier for the negotiating and the sort of the team that are in charge of sort of developing that business and getting the transfers over the line. They're not spread so thin. They're not, right, we've got to get 6 people in this summer. We've got to get 5 people in this summer. We've got to get 7 in. it's going to drop down to 2s and 3s, which is always more manageable. It really, really is. And with the team hopefully moving in the right direction, that's going to help. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Terry, Bruno Fernandes' agent does more flying than a bird. He does. You know, if there was an airline out there now should be reading this sort of stuff and thinking, right, how can we spin this and make a little bit of money? That's what I'd be doing. We want Bruno Fernandes done deal this week. We all want that. We all want that. We all want it done. Well, rivals don't. I'm sure that rivals watching have no desire to see that happen. Let's do a few more. There's a live comment coming here from Tom, who says, "Hey, it's Terry. Love the show. Hope you are well. Sorry. Hope you're well. We signed Fernandes and Maguire. Then I think we will do well in the top 3. What do you think?" Nothing's a foregone conclusion ever. But in terms of suddenly with Maguire and with Bruno Fernandes, the strength in depth and the overall quality of our squad increases. And it's palpable. So I think we'll have an amazing chance of making the top 4. And if our younger players, so the AWBs of this world, the Rashfords, Martials, McTominay, if we see a 10% improvement in those players, 15% in their overall play, alongside these quality new signings coming in and actually bucking the trend of the last 6 years, a new signing coming into the team and actually doing well, then top 3 would be probably slight overachievement considering where we are. It would be a hard push. But you never quite know. You'd be relying to make top 3. You would be relying on a few other teams dropping back, but top 4 would be a great, great push. It really, really would. So, yeah, really good signings, really good for the future. And suddenly, the squad just has this stronger feel. You look at the midfield, you go, oh, Pogba. You say Pogba, Fernandes, Fred, and then you've got like Matic and McTominay and Pereira. You think, okay. The other day, people were looking at our midfield thinking it looked like a championship midfield. You suddenly add a couple of names into that, and obviously somebody returning from holiday, you think, okay, there's that Brazil, there's full of internationals, full of goals, creativity, strength, guile, athleticism. From an attacking point of view, you still may think it's a bit weak. You still may think it's a bit weak because of the age of the squad, but then you add in the goals that are then going to come from midfield. I think that helps. Defensively, I think Shaw will improve again this year. Lindelof will improve again this year. And then you're suddenly adding one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League in Maguire and one of the best right-backs in AWB. I'm sure we are going to see improvements. I'm sure we're going to see those improvements. So, yeah, that's my viewpoint on that one. Let's do a few more of these comments here. Terry, would you like Man United to try for Sancho again next summer? Yeah, and look, I think if Man United make the top 4, if there's dramatic improvements in how we play, if the club's moving in the right direction, I think landing Sancho in a year's time is a much easier task than it is right now. It doesn't make it easy. It will be a slog to do business of that level with Borussia Dortmund, but it makes it, United will be a much more appealing club to want to join if that new direction is found. So, yes. By the way, if we don't improve, if we go backwards, if we don't make the Champions League, then I would say it's almost nigh on impossible. Terry, do you think Longstaff is worth 30 million? That's from Tyree Collins. Not in one lump sum, in my view. I wouldn't mind having a deal that would rise to that amount of money. So, 18 to 20 million pound up front. £10 million or so in add-ons once he's made 50 appearances for Man United and 20 England caps, and United have finished 2 years in the Champions League positions, as an example, with him playing making a certain percentage of appearances in those games, so he's an integral part. Then I wouldn't mind it rising to that money. That's the kind of thing I would put into something like that. So you'd only pay 18 to 20 up front, and if he turns out to be a good enough player to play 50 times for you, capped for England a number of times, and of course an integral part of Man United improving and getting back into the Champions League, then he would be worth the 30 million. But that way around, you're getting Newcastle to put their money where their mouth is. Newcastle think he's this great player. He's going to turn into this brilliant player. There you go. But equally, you're mitigating some of the risk. The selling clubs don't necessarily like those types of deals. You could also throw in a 10% sell-on clause as well, which might temper the situation. So that way, in 5 years' time, if Barcelona want to sign him for £180 million, I'm over exaggerating him. I'm giving you an example. 10% of that, which would be a huge amount of money, would go to Newcastle as well. So there's many things you could do, but yeah, it's one of those things. Everyone who's tuned in, you know how much I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Of course, some transfer live streams. I'm going to be releasing a delete video tomorrow and a video on why. Tomorrow there'll be a video coming out on our Patreon page, only on our Patreon page, about why United should sign Harry Maguire. Some excellent footage and breakdown of his play that we've found and gone through. So if you want to sign up and you want to see that, that's on our Patreon page. The link for that is in the description below. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your... Oh, by the way, my daughter started walking today, which is amazing. So, yeah, it's a really, really good day. That's what, outside of like streaming and working today, that's what I spent the majority of the day doing, is teaching her how to walk, which is good fun. She enjoys it. She enjoyed it. Although she thought falling on her bum was a game. So every time I picked her up, she'd just fall back down on purpose. But yeah, she took some good steps. So... Good. Listen, look after yourselves. Good night. God bless. See you all soon. Bye-bye.